If you're running a business like me, you know the juggle of managing day-to-day operations versus allocating time to do marketing, which brings in the business. Now, I've recently audited all my marketing activities, including my social media platforms. And in today's episode of Content Catalyst, I'm going to share with you my content marketing strategy moving forward. Now, as a marketing strategist and video coach, not only do I understand the importance of creating content to grow revenue, but I value the power of video in delivering results. Yet at times it feels like I'm more of a full-time content creator than a business operator. And I don't know if you're anything like me, it's always about, okay, I've got to, make this, do this, get that done. And before you know it, the week's done and you think, oh my God, I've just spent 3 hours making a reel. So here it is. It's like one of the things that I want to share in this episode is after reviewing all of my analytics, my platform first over the last year and a half has been Instagram. And I say platform first is because most of us generally gravitate to one platform over another. And, there's many people that are on TikTok, for example, and that's their number one platform of choice. And then they'll repurpose content over onto Instagram and vice versa. Where for me, when I launched this business, I definitely focused on Instagram as my first platform, and everything else was sort of built out around it. Now, I think what made the biggest difference for me, though, was last year I launched a podcast, and I actually put off launching a podcast for quite some time. And the reason why is because at the time I was juggling, full-time work and setting up my business. So I was working literally day and night every day to do all the things, like I'd get up in the morning that extra half an hour so I could create, some content. And so that's why I understand the juggle is real and we need to work smarter, not harder. But I did focus on Instagram. And then when I decided to launch my podcast, I did so with trepidation and I put it off for about a year at least for the reason that I thought I didn't have time. Here's the ironic thing is that once I actually launched my podcast, it actually made all of my content process a lot more easier. And the reason why is because I was being more thoughtful about my overarching topic. Now, I was considering that in my campaigns and themes and topics in the business I was working with, but I wasn't doing it in my own business like I should have been. And so creating a podcast for me really made me look at having that hero theme topic each month and positioning all of my content around those content categories of mine that work with that hero topic. And by doing that, it actually made my workflow a lot easier. And it also made repurposing content so much easier as well. So one of the things in auditing all of my content, I sat there and I went, okay, I could spend, and I did this last week, I lost 3 hours. I lost 3 hours last week making an Instagram reel. Now, the reason is because I, one, overthought it. And then I, wrote out the script and then I went off and made some dinner. I came back and edited. And then when I edited, I thought, oh, I'll just make it a little bit more fancy. And before I know it, it was 7 o'clock at night. And I was like, how have I just lost 3 hours of my day when in fact, in 3 hours, I could have researched a really good topic that people are needing help with. I could have wrote out my outline, recorded a video podcast, and have it all pushed out to 15 different content marketing pieces in the same amount of time. And I've spent the same amount of time on a 30-second reel. Like it just didn't make sense. And so my thinking now is I am doubling down on my long form content. And here are 3 benefits why long form content outweighs doing short form content as your platform first. Now, I'm not saying that don't do short form content, it's definitely very powerful in connecting with our audience. Like if I look at my Instagram followers, I have a great community on Instagram. I have a lot of conversations in DMs. But the problem is that I can spend all that time creating that 30-second reel and it's gone poof in 24 hours. It's done. It's in the feed. It's lost. Where long form content has opportunity to stay around for so much longer. And like I mentioned before, in other businesses I work with, long form content has definitely been a focus and we've had huge results with it. So that's why it made me think, why aren't I doing it more in my own business? So here are 3 benefits of long form content. One, you can go deeper with your audience. You can go more detailed on a topic and give more valuable insights. And it also helps to establish your credibility and your authority in your field. So the more time people spend with you, the more time that you're going to build a stronger connection with your audience. And that's number 2 is higher engagement. So a good piece of long form content is going to enable you to go deeper, but it's also going to help you make stronger connections with your audience. And number 3, improved SEO. Like that is one of the biggest things about long form content is the way that the search engines are getting information. So for example, Google's always been the number 1 platform of where people go to look up things. You Google it, right? Where now we're using our ChatGPTs and Perplexities a lot more to find out information. And all of these AI programs are scraping the internet for information. The first thing that gets scraped is videos. And I'm seeing this so much more. Like I use Perplexity AI every single day. And the information that I ask it, it brings me videos first. Then it'll scrape podcasts and then it'll scrape blogs. So all of those forms of information that it's giving me is based on those 3 long form methods of communication. So, in saying that, one of the things that I have had on my board for this year was to have a YouTube strategy. And I found that, you know, so it does take a little bit of different brain power to do YouTube content. And I have used YouTube for years and I love it. And that's why it was something on my, board of I really wanted to focus on that as my long form strategy. And so this month inside Content Catalyst, for example, it's my hero theme. It's what we're diving into. I've been working with mentors to look at what I need to do for my own YouTube strategy and then also how I can pass that information on to our members as well and helping them grow their long form content on YouTube. So here's why I like YouTube and why it's so powerful in marketing our business and establishing our credibility. Number 1, it's got a massive reach. Like it doesn't matter what you do, sell, offer, think, feel, whatever. There's an audience for it. So I think there's like 2.5 billion monthly active users on YouTube, which is just mind blowing. Now, out of that, you think, gosh, how do I make myself different out of all of those, other creators? Well, again, that comes down to the content that you make. So I know that in the past, when I have used YouTube in businesses, it was more about connecting with our current audience. So we would create, say, a product video explaining the product and then put it on YouTube. And that was used to drive our current customers and members to that product as an explainer video. And it wasn't optimized like it could have been for the general public. And I'm going to explain to you a few things that I've made the mistake of in YouTube in a second. So you can maybe take on some tips of your own. But when I started to change the strategy on creating searchable, discoverable information, topics and content and videos, it absolutely was a game changer. So now when I create my podcast, I always video it, but I also spend the time before I video it researching what people need. So you can have a topic and you know what you need to talk about. However, how we actually need to record and give it the angle for searchability and discoverability is very different. And you've heard the words, you need a hook and a headline to cut through that. Well, that's about giving that particular topic the angle that will help people with what they're looking for. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was working with someone on their blueprint, and we were talking about who's in real estate. And so what we did was, one of the content categories that they had was creating street appeal. Now, when we went into all the search engines, like we went into Answer the Public, and we went into YouTube, and we went into Google, and we asked Perplexity, for example, about street appeal, it wasn't resonating. And that's because that's not what people were looking up. They weren't Googling, how do I make street appeal? What they were looking up was, how do I sell my house faster? how do I sell my house fast? And so the topic that we were going to record the video on was about creating street appeal to sell your to get more people to inspect your home and sell it quicker. But if we had have just gone with the topic and the headline and the thumbnail being create street appeal, it wouldn't have ranked as high. So it's really important, when you think about when you solve people's problems, it's a really powerful search engine for your visibility, and then you can build trust and credibility. So one of the other things that I'm really fascinated with YouTube is their algorithm. It's a really, really clever algorithm. And I've had this conversation with a few ladies in my business groups lately. I'm like, do you watch YouTube? And they're like, nah, I don't. I'm like, okay, yep, no worries. And then we were having a conversation about something, and then they went, oh yeah, I was watching this video about blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, was it a YouTube video? And they went, it was on someone's website. And I went, did it have that? And they went, yeah, it was a YouTube video. So you would be surprised at how many times we actually consume YouTube videos without realizing we're intentionally consuming videos. And now I know this is what's really interesting, is that YouTube, from my analytics of, and I'm talking in Australia here, it is actually a little bit more of a male dominated platform, in the way of guys, from my observation, are more likely to sit down and watch YouTube videos, and they'll just watch topics. My son does it. When I want to deep dive a topic, I will sit there and consume YouTube videos. And I did that when I was learning video, for example. But for a lot of other people, they're not people that may just sit down and consume YouTube videos willingly, knowingly, without intentionally going, today I'm going to sit down and just watch YouTube. And I'm talking about, busy mums, for example. Where we will use it is when we're looking up how to cook, a particular recipe. How do you, do this bow tie? How do you? And that's when we're Googling it, for example, then a video will come up, we'll click on the video, and that video is on YouTube. So my long form to short form strategy looks like this. So I will go in, I know my hero topic for the month, and then I will look at what are people looking up? What are their problems? What are their challenges around that topic? And then I'll research it. I will then find out what people need to know about it. So therefore I can deliver the content to help solve their problem, and with the hook and the headline to help get discovered. So they can find out what they need. Okay, so that's the first part, is the research, and then outline my content. Then I will go in and I will record my video, which is what I'm doing now. After I do this, I will then go over to CapCut and I will edit my video over in CapCut. Now, I'm loving CapCut. I just find so many things in there each day that I'm like, that is so good. I made a video about it the other day, about it's replaced 5 different apps now. Okay, so record my video podcast. I go over to CapCut. I edit my podcast. Now, then I go to export, and I export 3 things. I export the MP4, which is the video, the MP3, which is the audio, and then the transcription text file. And that will then give me the next step of the process. So once I've downloaded that, I will then go over to YouTube and I will upload the MP4, the video. Now, while that's uploading, I'll go over to Kajabi and I'll upload my podcast. While I'm doing that, I will go over to Perplexity AI and I will take that transcription and I will ask Perplexity to then create my show notes with timestamps, keywords, and keywords again for discoverability. I'll ask it to suggest 5 different hooks for the headline of the episode, and then I can take that information and then I can go back over to YouTube. It's uploaded by that stage. Paste in the show notes. I've got my thumbnail. And then I'm posting that, done. And then I go back over to Kajabi. I've got my thumbnail, paste in my same show notes, done. Okay, so there's 2 long form bits of content. Then I've asked Perplexity if it can help me write my blog. Now, the wonderful thing about when I do this, because it's using my transcription of my conversation, it knows my tone, it knows the language that I use, and I never copy and paste things from AI, but how well this is doing it now is next level. So I always go in and edit it and give it my, spin on things, but it's getting so good because it's using the transcription, which is my wording. So then I'll go over and then I've popped it over in a blog. So now I've got 3 pieces of long form content. Okay, so next thing I do is then go over to LinkedIn and I paste that blog over into LinkedIn. And then I'm also letting people know that if they want to go deeper, they can watch the YouTube video or listen to the podcast. So now I've got 5 bits of content because I've got my newsletter article in LinkedIn and I've also posted that. So that's 5 posts now. Now, while all of that's happening, I then will go over to Instagram. And sorry, just before I even get to Instagram, at this stage, my video has uploaded, is finished uploading into CapCut's workspace. And I click one button and it creates shorts. So it creates all my short clips of my video podcast. So I did this a couple of days ago and it created me 10 beautiful short clips. And they were optimized for engagement and headlines and hooks and topics and things like that. I can edit I can choose if I want it under 60 seconds or over 60 seconds. I can edit the captions. I can edit the way it looks. I can trim off bits. So I've got full editing power over those clips. But now it's generally gives me about 10 to 20 clips, depending on the information. I'm okay with less. I would much rather quality of less clips. But essentially, I've now got 10 clips, 10 short videos that I can now use for my social media. So before I even get over into Instagram, with those 10 clips, I can do 2 things. I can actually download them into a folder and then I can schedule them out throughout the week onto social media. Or CapCut has actually got a scheduler inside and I can actually schedule out those videos, those short clips of my video podcast directly from CapCut. And that can go out to TikTok, YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, Instagram. So all of a sudden, I can just do it all inside CapCut and I've got my short clips out there. So now I've got 10, so up to 5. Now I'm up to 15 pieces of content marketing. I will then go over to Instagram. I will share a story talking head video saying, hey, I've just dropped a podcast about this topic. Here's a link. And then the second story will have my podcast, my Apple podcast screen grab. So it shows what the podcast looks like. And that'll be on the second story. And then I will do a post and I'll pop that into the feed. And then I will also do a live. So you can see how all of a sudden, and with my live, I will again talk about the topic and then I will say, if you want to go deeper on this topic, go and check out the podcast. So all of a sudden now I've got 15 to 20 pieces of content marketing across YouTube, my podcast, my website, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There's 7 different platforms right there. And to me, that's working smarter, not harder. And I've gotten it to the point with the help of AI, and this is why I love AI, is that I've gotten that down to, 3, 4 hours, depending on, what I'm doing at the time. And I feel like, that would take hours easily. But now I've got a week's worth of content easily by spending just a few hours creating that one hero topic on long form content. I do mine weekly at the moment, but if you like to batch up content, batch up your 4 episodes for the month and push it out, and then you can pass it on and outsource it to your team or an editor or whatever, to then get them to do that whole checklist. Now, if you want to go deeper and get a long form content strategy, there's 2 things that you can do. I am about to launch Content Catalyst Blueprint as a course. Currently, you can work one-to-one with me, and it's like a full day intensive to get you a content marketing strategy. What I've then done is actually create an online course so you can do it on demand, and it's a self-paced program. Now, here's the thing. While it's not tailored for your business when you do it as a program, I've actually got AI prompts in each lesson for you that you can copy and paste into Perplexity. And with each lesson, you'll step through how to define your goals for your content marketing. You'll dial in your audience, you'll dial in your messaging, your keywords, your content flow, what you can do, what you can outsource, your metrics. And remember, metrics, are the king of what we need to track in marketing, because what we measure grows. And it's really important to do that. It's really important to get a good workflow. So what I've taken you through today, it sounds a lot, but when you have a checklist of it all, it's actually quite simple. And that checklist, I know, and if you've got a bit of a spicy brain, you actually get a bit of a hit out of like ticking things off the list. Okay, yep, I've done that. Yep, I've done that. Yep, I've done that. And I'll move on. But where I'm seeing the impact, and I was looking at my YouTube analytics going, wow, what an impact it's having just by making a few changes to my content online. If you want to go deeper onto YouTube, this month inside Content Catalyst, I am doing a masterclass and 2 workrooms on YouTube to help get you going as well. If you need a content marketing strategy, you can join my waitlist for our Blueprint program, so you can actually get a content marketing strategy for you and your business, so you can work smarter, not harder, when it comes to creating content. I hope this episode has been helpful. If it has, share it with somebody, and I would really love it if you left a review. It means the world to me. Thank you so much, and until the next episode.